The myth surrounding dramatic drops to your credit score due to you canceling credit cards is something that's been emphasized, but that's all it is. A myth. While canceling a credit card can affect your credit score negatively, there isn't usually a dramatic significant drop to your credit score or long-term negative effects. But that all depends on how you cancel your cards and which cards you're canceling. When you cancel a credit card, here's what actually happens. The first thing it may affect is your total credit card utilization, and because you are removing a credit card completely by canceling it, your credit card utilization may go up. This is the biggest factor. Credit utilization is how much credit you are using versus your total limit. When you cancel a credit card, your total available credit drops. For example, prior to canceling a credit card, you have a $10,000 total limit spread between two cards and are using $2,000. $2,000 used divided by $10,000 total limit equals 20% utilization. When you cancel one of these cards, reducing your total limit to $5,000, $2,000 used divided by the $5,000 new total limit equals 40% utilization. Having a higher utilization would negatively impact your overall credit score. But that's a dramatized example, as most people have more than 2 credit cards. In fact, according to Google, the average is 4 credit cards. And most people have more than a $10,000 total credit limit. The second thing canceling a credit card may cause is that it can shorten your credit history. Older accounts help your age of credit category within your credit score. When you cancel a credit card, it can still stay on your report for up to 10 years, but once it drops off, your average account age may decrease. Third, canceling a credit card changes your credit mix slightly. Having a mix of varying credit, whether it be from a credit card, a mortgage, or a loan, generally helps your credit score, especially if you're being responsible and paying each on time. Losing a card may slightly reduce that benefit, but this is usually a minor hit. So with all of those to consider, when exactly would canceling a credit card make any sense? It's usually fine if 1, the credit card has a high annual fee that you don't want to pay, 2, you have plenty of other available credit, and 3, you're not planning a major loan like a mortgage anytime soon. 2 key rules to follow when deciding whether or not you should cancel a credit card is that in no circumstances ever should you ever cancel a no annual fee card, and always opt towards downgrading an annual fee card into a no annual fee card if you have the opportunity to do so, rather than straight up canceling a annual fee card. With that all being said, let's start actually talking about the credit cards that I plan on downgrading and canceling by the end of 2026. Starting off with the American Express Gold card, this one probably isn't surprising to anyone, and even though I just lectured about always opting for a cheaper version instead of outright canceling a credit card, well, I'm canceling the American Express Gold card in 1 year's time because you can't technically downgrade the Gold card into a no annual fee card. The only option available is downgrading it into the American Express Green card, which still holds a $150 annual fee. The reason for it and the reason why I got it in the first place is because of the ladder rule that's mentioned within the terms of service for the American Express Gold card and the American Express Green card. For those that don't know, within the terms of service for each card, it states that you may not be eligible to receive a welcome bonus offer if you have or have had this card, the Premier Rewards Gold card, the Platinum card, the Platinum card from American Express exclusively for Charles Schwab, the Platinum card from American Express exclusively with Morgan Stanley, or previous versions of these cards. So in order to maximize on earning as many membership reward points as possible, I got the Gold card first and then the Platinum card. But in all honesty, after about 6 to 7 months of using the Gold card as my daily driver, it's become more of a headache than a tool that helps enhance my lifestyle. And the main reason for that are the annoying monthly use it or lose it credits that are essentially prepaid for with the Gold card's $325 annual fee. Swinging over to my tracker that was graciously created by my girlfriend that helps me keep track of all of the credits and benefits my credit cards provides. The American Express Gold card has 3 monthly credits and 1 semi-annual credit. The monthly ones consist of a monthly $10 Uber credit, a monthly $10 Five Guys and Cheesecake Factory credit, that's what I use the dining credit on, and a monthly $7 Dunkin' credit. The semi-annual $50 Resi credit I honestly don't have any complaints about. how it's an easy credit to use, and because I live close to Washington DC means that this credit gets used up pretty quickly. But the mental strain of having to go to a Five Guys every single month to get a little cheeseburger that costs $9.39 over here in the state of Maryland, and then having taxes give me a final bill of $10.33 every single month is a strangely mental overloading experience I never really thought that I'd have to endure every single month. Now, don't get me wrong, Five Guys burgers are a fantastic burger. I do enjoy it every single month, but having to mentally remember that I have to go instead of just going because I enjoy the food is a weird experience. I'm just not a fan of the monthly stipends and having to remember them. Plus, when adding up all of the credits against the annual fee, you get $424 worth of credits compared to the $325 annual fee, which means you're only truly getting $99 worth of additional value. So now that I've applied for and gotten the Platinum card, and because I have other credit cards within my wallet that provide decent multipliers in the dining category, shout out to the Capital One Saver and the Chase Freedom Flex, the headache of holding the gold card outweighs the positives of it. It's going to get the axe by the end of 2026. And speaking of American Express credit cards, the next one on the chopping block is the Hilton Honor Surpass. Overall, it's been a phenomenal card, and I genuinely think it's in that sweet spot of hotel credit cards for where its annual fee isn't too expensive, but provides good benefits and credits that help completely offset that annual fee and give outsized value. Which then might confuse some of you in terms of why then would I feel the need to cancel the card. Well, I'm not canceling it, I'm downgrading my Hilton Honors Surpass into the Hilton Honors Basic, which is a no annual fee card. The main reason for downgrading it is because there is a downgrade path for this credit card to a no annual fee version, so that I don't necessarily have to affect my credit score at all. And in addition to that, it's because of the recent acquisition of the American Express Platinum card, which automatically gives Hilton Honors Gold status, something the Surpass gives as well, so there's really no need to have two cards that give the same benefit. And then I'll be contemplating pursuing the Hilton Honors Aspire. The Hilton Honors Aspire is Hilton's top tier credit card, which comes with benefits like diamond status, which I know I will be able to use effectively overseas, but it also costs $400 more than the Surpass at $550 total per year, which is why I'm a bit hesitant on getting the card. Comparing the two cards side by side, I'd argue that the Surpass gives better credits that completely offset that annual fee and are easier to use. The $200 yearly hotel credit is applicable to all Hilton properties, which are on the Hilton Surpass, while the $400 Hilton Resorts credit is only applicable to Hilton Resorts, which is unfortunately not the type of hotels I tend to stay at on the road. Oh, did I mention that I travel for work a lot? About once a month, and my go-to hotels are usually Hilton properties, so the $200 Hilton credit on the Surpass is pretty much used up every single year. Deeping diver, however, the Hilton Aspire does give free diamond status, which, if my automatic gold status on the Hilton Surpass has not proven already, is a much more enjoyable status when I visit places internationally, meaning a lot more upgrades and benefits, and additionally it comes with an annual free night reward, which can be valued to completely offset the $550 annual fee with just one night of booking at places like the Waldorf Astoria in Tokyo, a property I got to enjoy recently on my trip to Japan. I know it's a pretty rash decision to again uptake another high annual fee card considering the cards that I currently have, but if I time the application and perfectly align it with some trips that I'm planning to take in 2027, I believe that at least for a year of owning the Hilton Aspire, I'll get at least $550 worth of value out of the card. And last but not least, probably the card that most minimally affects my wallet if it's downgraded is the Chase Sapphire Preferred. The Chase Sapphire Preferred used to be called the best beginner traveler credit card within the credit card ecosystem, with an extremely competitive transfer partner program that only one other lender could beat at the time. But ever since the Hyatt devaluation happened, it's become a glaring issue within my wallet. Now, I understand that it's only a $95 annual fee card, so downgrading it to a Chase Freedom wouldn't necessarily change my setup too much, but $95 is $95, and that $95 can be repurposed into somewhere else where I see will benefit me more. Right now, I just don't think I need to think about the Chase ecosystem as much as I used to, which is why downgrading the Preferred into a Chase Freedom is the best move possible, because the downgrade not only allows me to continue having that line of credit on my credit score, but because the Chase Freedom is a no annual fee card, I won't have to pay additional money in order to keep it. Also, because the Chase Freedom Freedom is the only no annual fee card downgradable on the normal customer side, not including the business side, that retains your Chase Ultimate Reward points. Meaning that those Ultimate Reward points sort of go into a stasis mode where it can't necessarily be used for things like transfer partners, but it won't just evaporate either into thin air. Then I can allot the $95 I get into another program, such as the Cities Trifecta with the Cities Strata Premier, finally dipping my feet over there, or attempt at another credit card within another ecosystem that I already have, or I just might go into gardening mode and reevaluate what I already have and prioritize it to something later on at a later date. And that just about wraps up this video. If you were to retain one single thing from this video, please never consider canceling a credit card without considering other options. Always make sure to consider that canceling a credit card outright is the last resort. Please consider downgrading, and always remember that canceling a no annual fee credit card is the absolute worst thing you could possibly do within the credit card ecosystem. If you found this video helpful, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. And if you want help figuring out your own situation, drop a comment down below. Thank you so much for watching as always. Talk to you in the next one. Peace.